get it.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Thursday to everybody. We thank you for showing up for another fly edition of Real Talk with Carl and Charlene. And it is Thursday. This week is going by real fast. It's almost done. Not only the week, but the month. We're already in of January, and this year is on a roll. And we just doing it in 2022. We thank you guys for showing up. Those who are joining us live, please put in the comments where you're tuning in from. Let us know and join the discussion. And just pop in on us. Let us know what's going on. Let us know how you feel. And I can't do this by myself, guys. You know what? I got the wonderful host. Yeah, we hosting this thing together. I got my wonderful host, my niece, my nephew, my not my nephew, my niece, my sister, my friend, my homie, my New Yorker, all of the above. Come on in, Charlene. Let's get it rolling.
Hey, I was about to ask you, did you get a memo I don't know
Wow, wow,
about?
wow.
What's up, everybody?
What's
What's
going
up? What's up?
on, man? What's going on?
Oh my gosh.
No,
Go ahead. It's about to be a great show today. Yes.
yes.
Are you glitching on me over there?
Already? I can't be already. I can't be. Well, it's storming in New Jersey, so you know our Wi-Fi ain't all that 5G. They turn them on at they turning it off at the airport, so I guess we ain't got the 5G yet.
You see, I told you get out of Jersey. But yes, we also in New York, we're getting our storm, we're getting our rain, and it's supposed to
Yeah.
turn icy tomorrow. But you know where I am? I'm in my house. Me, Shadow with his shrimp. We just chilling.
Oh
And I
wow,
am sitting
sounds
here
chilling.
I am here watching and supporting the community as much as possible while getting my own work done. So it's amazing time to really center yourself and to figure out how do you want to show up, because I'm always trying to figure that out. How do I want to show up? And we have an amazing guest today, Kara, cannot wait. We're going to find out more about
Yeah,
her. But
Tim.
I met her, or I've seen her mainly because she does a show with Tim, and Tim is here too. He dropped it
What's
in
up,
the chat,
Tim?
and they have they have an amazing space that they've created to allow people who are cancer survivors, who are dealing with cancer, to have that time to really communicate. What is it like? How did they find out? How are they going through it? How are they in remission? Things like that. And I think it's a beautiful space to have. And I am so excited to have her on the show. And we're going to bring her on. We're going to bring her on and let her tell who she is. What's up?
Hi. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I just got butterflies just now.
Welcome, welcome. Tell
Hi.
everyone about yourself.
Yes, my name is Carol Oelker. I am a personal power coach. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's sunny here. It's cold. So quick weather report. But yeah, I'm a personal power coach. And together with Tam Soda and I, we have this show called Showing Up, Perspectives on Cancer. And he brings the, you know, himself as a professional live streaming, so we're live streaming together, and his perspective of being a 15-year cancer survivor. And at the time he was still technically he still technically had cancer, and over the last month he found out, and sorry Tam, but I'm just sharing that he is now cancer free. And so there's that whole element of, the showing up, perspectives on cancer. Our perspectives are changing. And my perspective as someone who was a caregiver for my mom who had cancer, and she had cancer pretty much her entire life. And I was her caregiver the last couple years of her life, and then being someone who is just family member and overall supporter of people who have had cancer. That's my perspective. So just the show in general, just between Tim and I, we carry these perspectives that are ever changing and ever evolving. And then we bring in these other amazing people on the show whose perspectives have evolved and changed. And sometimes they change during the show, or they're able to open up a little bit more to themselves on the show. And together we just all show up, and it's been beautiful. And it's terrifying. And sometimes it is a little traumatic because you're like, oh my gosh, this is too much. But but it's necessary. It is so necessary. So I'm incredibly proud to be involved in this show and overall movement, So that's where I am and my journey as just a human, as a coach, wanting to just be a part of the human experience right now. And how do I help carry that forward in the best way possible?
Yeah, I think that you guys have given this platform. Now, when we think about the term cancer, right? I know for the longest I've dealt with that with many with my aunts and family members, and uh, my in-laws, my wife's family has. It's been stricken to my mother-in-law, my father-in-law. All it's like been real prevalent um, to the fact of being dealing with that and having family members deal with that. And there's so many communities that has evolved from that. But I think the greatest thing that you guys are doing is especially elevating it on this platform. And I call it just that, elevating it on there, because I before you guys, and it's a lot of people. So if you were doing it out there, this is no knock on you. This is just in my circle. But I think the avenue that you guys give to being able to come on and share perspectives, right? Because a lot of times you have these kind of communities that talks about the ills and the medical jargon of what's actually happening, or trying to describe symptoms and those kind of things. But I think the perspective that you guys bring, conversational talk about how cancer affects your everyday life or those of your loved ones or those that you're in the community with, I think it brings a great service to this platform. And then, especially with my man Tim, dealing with it and journeying that and journaling that for others to see, it's just amazing. How did you guys come up with this perspective as a collaboration? Because I know you were doing your thing on the Deep End Roots, and Tim was doing about 100 different things on all of his producing shows and all of that. How did you guys come together and say, yo, I think this is needed?
Yes, so we're still doing that. And for me, this show has been able to give myself a chance to kind of refocus, because as you know, Carl, I for the last couple of years, like I really was in to gut health. I'm a certified health and life coach. I'm very passionate about that. I still am. And um, I noticed that my clients were struggling around the whole topic of personal power. And at the root of everything, their personal power was either missing or they never knew they had it. And so I was spending a lot of time going around the back end of helping my clients with their physical health, but through mostly their emotional and mental health and personal power, and the way of, you have always had this and only you get to take it away. And how do we find this again for you? Or how do we find this at all for you? And so that's been kind of my mission. And the process, I did meet Tim Stone through this little movement. Actually, we say that we met through Mark Lee, because I met Mark Lee, who introduced me to Nancy Barrows, who had this Radiating Real movement.
Yeah.
We ended up, I just had this vibe with Tim. I'm like, I feel like we're going to work together on some level, or somehow have impact. So I claimed him on live TV as being his best friend. So I'm like Tim's bestie. And and then from there, we started just actually forming a friendship and camaraderie, and how do we support each other. and especially professionally. And it wasn't until I think the end of October where we were talking about doing some type of project, and I said, why don't we just do it around cancer? Like, why don't we just do that? And he's like, do you even have a perspective? Like, I know you have something like your mom, but okay, like, and I said, yes, I have more perspective than I've been kind of letting on. And through that, we did form the show. And it was quick. It was in the matter of maybe 2 or 3 weeks we were live. And that was super amazing. And the first 3 episodes were very magical. The first one, we just talked about, this is the show, this is what we're doing, la, la, la. And the second show was his perspective and his journey with cancer and leukemia and how he's doing now. And then the third show was my perspective and where I shared more. And that was the first time. So I have a podcast, Deep in Roots podcast, and I have talked about my mom and dad, both of their passing. And I've talked about my mom having cancer, but I never really talked about it in public in the way that I did. And I don't even think I really talked about it in private the way that I did. And, Little Miss Personal Power was still holding that back, because in the back of my mind, I still had this little part of me that said, it just was what it was, Kara. That was just your past, But the show has really helped me address that within myself to move forward. And the same with him sharing his story for the first time that last year and evolving. Like, that's just kind of how it evolved. So even just the fact that we both were kind of holding parts of that back, and then we just decided, okay, you rock as an individual and you have great abilities as a professional, let's collaborate. Like, it's just crazy how perfect and how right it should be, or how it was, that we just came together to do this show. But the actual developing the show, literally 2 to 3 weeks, and then bam, we just took off. So we weren't messing around. we just got straight to the point and just did it. So it was kind of neat.
That's awesome. That's the proof. What I would say, that's the proof in the pudding to when things are aligned, right? We always look for that alignment and work it in. And me and Charlene kind of share that same story where we just start talking, and in a couple of weeks we had a show. So
Yeah.
we went along that same route, and when you have that passion for that, and now you guys have kind of given, I mean, for lack of a better word or term, you guys have kind of given each other the okay to have this conversation on, because it's been, I mean, everybody know, I mean, my family, like, it has had a lot of my family members and my wife's family members so petrified that they don't even call it cancer, right? They call it the C word. Like, and I, like, when they first started talking about that, me being kind of oblivious to that, you know what I mean? And I'm kind of smart in a lot of things, but I was never one. I don't know. I always had this problem of reading between the lines. I don't know. I guess I just never did. And they just was talking about the C word, and one afternoon they was just talking, and I just got annoyed because they were having a fluid conversation, and not that I wasn't part of it. It was just that I couldn't even eavesdrop because I didn't really know what they were talking about. And I was like, "What is the C word?" I just like got up in the middle of the conversation, like, "What is the C word?" And they all looked at me because it was a big family gathering. There's about like 10 of us over there, right? And they all like, "Cancer, man. You talking about cancer?" I'm like, "Well, I didn't know. Y'all been saying C word since I came in." So I like the fact that you guys have given each other the permission, whether it be subliminally, quietly, or even just openly trusting that vulnerable spot in both of you guys. And even Tim, I applaud him, and I talked to him a couple of times or so, that journey that he walked. I never knew any of those things about him. And I was at your show when you, I think I left a note on your show that you shared that night. I was like, this is like the most vulnerable thing that I've heard someone open up with, and I didn't know those things, concerning you guys, and that's what connection is really about. Like that's really what it is, and it was not from a point of where you guys was looking for sympathy, or a point of you guys are looking for. You just was involving people in your stories, and you gave people power to start coming to your show, to start opening up. I see the comments on there. Oh my God, you guys have some amazing conversations in the
Yeah.
comments, right? It's just an amazing thing that you guys are doing.
Thank you. Yes. Uh, what I find interesting is I'm the same way, Carl. Just I'm a straight shooter. Just tell me words so I can decipher them. That's what the human language is about, or that's what like language is all about between humans, right?
Yeah,
Even between like species of animals, they have communication and they communicate directly. There's none of the secret agent stuff, right? So for
yeah.
me, when I hear like, and I'll hear it on LinkedIn, or I'll see it on LinkedIn, I'm like, why are you guys talking about, like, why are you guys calling each other derogatory words? Like for me, the C word's different. So I'm like, it's a derogatory term. So what like, is somebody going to scrap what's going on? What is going on here? But just the fact that there is shame around that, because when you start, um, you know, having code words for common terms, common illnesses, common things, common words, there's shame around that.
Yeah.
You know, cancer is cancer. There is a zodiac sign that is cancer. It's like just removing the shame around the word
Yeah.
and really getting to the root of what that is. And the more we stuff our emotions in, the more that dis-ease turns into disease. And sometimes that does come in the form of cancer. Just the whole simple fact that if our bodies are programmed to either be in the parasympathetic state or the sympathetic state. It can't do both. So if you're in a survival state, then your body, like if you're thinking about something that's making you anxious, that is a bear in your mind, and your body is helping you like run away, defeat, or pretend that bear does not exist. And if we allow ourselves to take in the moment, the present moment, and say, okay, this is a bear. This is my bear in my mind. What am I going to do about it? Our bodies automatically are able to digest food. They're able to regenerate skin cells. They're able to just take in more oxygen in a way that you're not just trying to literally run. Or in that state, your body is giving you, like, you're giving your body permission to live, to thrive. And so that's just the power. That just goes to show that the power of our thoughts and our feelings, like especially our thoughts, really dictates how our body moves and responds and takes on everything. And if we remove that shame and just, you can give it a seat at the table. You can say, okay, cancer, you're no longer the C word. You can have a little kiddie chair over there at the end, not even the end, but more like a card table end. Like you have your own little card table and you have a kiddie chair over there. Like you get to sit over there, but you don't get to sit at the big table with the big people. Just giving that a place, that's so important. And that's something that's a big deal for me personally. And that's something that Tim and I definitely strive to, remove when people are on our show. When you're on our show, You get to show up as, bless you, mister.
I was trying to hit the mute, but it went too fast.
That's okay. When you're on our show, you get to be you. You get to share your perspective. Now, there are times that people do want to talk about other things, and sometimes it gets a little wild, but we do make sure to let everyone know that it is the perspective of cancer that we're after, because it is your perspective. And the more you talk about it, the more that shame is removed. And the more that people listen to your perspective, the more their shame is removed. And, if you remove shame, you help secure your own personal safety. Sometimes we don't have, oh, thank you, Tim. Sometimes, we don't have the ability to have physical safety. Maybe something physically is going on. Maybe your home isn't the safest, right? But if your thoughts are safe, if you say, I will get myself to safety, or I will be safe, especially when you have cancer, it's like all bets are off, right? You get to feel everything you get to feel. But if you think like, this is going on, but I'm going to be safe, and I'm going to be okay in this, and I'm going to do what it takes to make sure that I'm okay, then that's different than, oh my gosh, we need to do this and this and this and this and this. Something has to happen. I need to be saved. Your body is in constant survival mode. It's not able to thrive. And I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying that the power of thought is so important. And so is the placement of feelings. You get to have your own feelings. You get to feel all of them. If you're lucky in life, you are happy 50% of the time, so that leaves time for you to feel all the other emotions in the world, such as sadness, such as anger, such as disbelief, such as excitement, like being content, being just being. You get to have all of that. And that, again, going back, it really is just an important concept. And when you're in the green room with us on showing up, it is very vulnerable. And the last thing we want anyone to feel is unsafe in the green room and in their thoughts. So we do a thorough job at the whole process. Hey, let's talk about this on a pre-interview, so we get a sense of your journey, who you are, how can we better support you while you talk about this. And if we were talking about live streaming, it would be different, right? You just go on, call it a day. But this can bring up trauma that may not be resolved yet, or you're in the process of resolving. And we never would want anyone to feel unsafe, feel disrespected, or feel lost and just hopeless on our show, and then we even talk about it. I say, okay, make sure that you are, if you're able to, give yourself time to just be with yourself and feel your thoughts before. So give yourself time the day of the show to feel your thoughts. And if you can take it easy at least the morning after, please take it easy. Cry if you need to, because you will unexpectedly realize that you have more emotion to give to yourself. So please do it, and just going through the whole experience and just really being honest about it versus, C words and code names and talking about it like it doesn't matter. It does matter. Cancer matters. And so let's talk like it does matter.
And I love how you both address such a sensitive topic. And I wanted to ask, when you're having others show up, especially in such a visible space of being on a live where anybody can drop in. Somebody might drop in the middle of the conversation, not sure where it came from or where it's going. How do you, I guess, help buffer your guests from those who may not understand the journey, or those who may be in the middle of their own journey, might be angry, whatever that those feelings may be on them, and typically could end up having harsh words or something like that? How do you help buffer your guests for that? Because I know you say you give them a space to get ready and you give them the pre-calls, but is there like anything else that can help for being so vulnerable, especially if they wanted to do it on their own and continue speaking about their journeys? How would they best prepare themselves for those kind of situations?
Well, we make sure that there's just kind of direct lines for communication. If you have any questions, please let us know. If you have any concerns, if you suddenly don't want to do this, please let us know. If there's a family emergency or something, please let us know. We will accommodate 100%. So just let us know, be honest. And we don't have a right for any judgment, nor do we ever have the need to assign any judgment. Like, we're literally here and we're here for you. So tell us what you need. And that is one line of communication. And then during the show, we do encourage, if you're interested in connecting with this person on LinkedIn, here you go, please connect. If you have any questions, talk to us. We do check in on our guests afterwards too, and just see how they're doing. Hey, it's been a couple of days. How are you feeling?
Right.
Oh yeah, that next day was pretty rough. Okay, yes. Do you need to talk about it? How are you feeling now? Things like that. Okay, I will get into this though. There are times where sometimes, okay, I'll get into the lighter part. There have been times where people just are amazing audience. They drop in and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm in the middle of someone crying. What is going on? But they go into the comments, they see what's going on. And our people in the comments are amazing. They're just so sweet and so supportive. Carl, like you see it. It's like a big party. It's a side party while the person's talking about the most vulnerable thing. And then other people are sharing their vulnerable stories while this person is sharing their vulnerable stories. So that alone just kind of sets the tone for people walking into this mess, wonderful mess of sharing and vulnerability. It's like, oh, okay, so this is what they do. Okay, oh my gosh, it's okay, whatever, right? And then after a while, it's like, oh, okay. I don't know. I'm sure there have been people who have come on, felt a little triggered, backed away. Those people, if you're watching and that does happen, please reach out to Tem and I for any questions. Because now that I think of it, like we are very responsive to people having questions about things. But if you're triggered by any aspect, talk to us directly. Do not talk to our guests about it, because you're going to trigger them. But unless you have like a curious question, but if you're in the trigger phase, talk to us. And so that said, there has been one moment so far where someone, our guest, talked about a couple elements that did deal with her cancer journey, but it talked about other topics as well. And that ended up being triggering for that person. And that person came to me, sent a ranty email. And my initial response, because I was in shock, I did like a voice message and I said, oh, well, the beauty of the show is that we all have perspectives and you share your perspective and we share a perspective and la, la, la. And then I thought, oh, that didn't do him service, but let's see if this works out. Another ranty message. I waited a couple days because I wasn't in this space anyways. I was in my own little spaceship trying to just deal with my own stuff. And I made sure to respond. And how I did was, and I feel like I can talk about this because it's good now. It's all good. But I think the point of the matter is sometimes people do think that because they're triggered, they can push that button and they can go instead of thinking about it and sitting with it. So their trauma response, their survival response is to attack. And I don't even say that that's wrong. And I also don't say that that's right. It is what it is. It happens to the best of us. I do ask, though, if you are triggered and you can't give yourself space to think about it, okay, fine. Yes, bring it on me. Bring it on me. Don't message Chem. Bring it on me. just tell me, and then I'll listen, and then we'll talk about it. But sometimes there is that human reaction to be triggered. And, I just encourage people that when that does happen, really look to see why that is triggering you. Because a lot of times it's not about the person talking, but rather your response to that person talking and your experiences around your life. And nobody's responsible for your feelings but you. And we also care about your feelings, but not at the expense of others or anyone else. It's like we can all walk side by side with our feelings, but in that moment, though, I do want to say that I appreciate the fact that, if someone's triggered and they reach out to us, then I also kind of feel like we're doing something right, because then that sparks their healing process. And another aspect that maybe they felt like they had to fight for things in their lives. And that maybe they didn't feel heard. And so by dismantling that and saying, okay, I hear you. I'm going to take my time responding, but I hear you. And let's go about this delicately. Like, I think we all win. But cancer is such a topic that it doesn't just affect people in the topic of, in the area of cancer, it affects us and just how we respond to everything. And because it is a threat in our lives, and if we just think about how we approach threats in general, like we can all just heal ourselves and heal others in the process.
I think, man, that's awesome, and I think you unwrapped a lot with that, and of course, what I talk about is definitely I can't put it in the same ballpark as vulnerability, but what I can do and put it in the same ballpark is reactions and how people deal with it, and that is the key. That's the cornerstone of the vulnerability. And when you talk about cancer, I'll never forget when my father-in-law, strong man. I mean, he's raised a southern guy, worked on farms, pigs, and I this guy was just all around tough old head. You know what I mean? He's old head, and I'll never forget the day that he got diagnosed with cancer. And out of being in the family with him and my wife and his family, my wife got three sisters and a brother. Well, she had three sisters and a brother at that time. There's five of them, and just seeing the toughness of how they came up living in South Carolina, and it was all kind of like these work hard, heavy kind of work people. And he came home, and I think I had been married to my wife maybe about 2 or 3 years. And he came home, and he got diagnosed. He drove himself home from there. He didn't call anybody to tell because everybody knew he had a doctor's appointment. He didn't call anybody to tell him, and he came home. And that was the first time that I saw him cry. And when I thought about seeing him cry, and then all the other things that I seen him been through, him, I mean, I had seen a lot in just those 3 years of me being in the marriage. I seen a lot of things that had happened to him on personal level, and I didn't see him shake a eye or bat at any of those things. But when he was diagnosed with cancer, he came home and he was crying, and that to me it did a lot to me as in that. And you're talking about the triggers, and you're talking about cancer is definitely one of those terms that nobody really likes to talk about, and it's one of those terms that you look at it, there's no cure for it, and people hear it in its finality, and there is a lot of emotions tied to that. So reactions come from the gamut because we get all people acting all kind of crazy if they say something we don't like. So here we're talking about something that is detrimental to people well-being, not only the individual that's carrying this, but the individuals that care for them. It just takes everybody into a whole new realm, and it's such a sensitive thing that if it can trigger even that when you're talking about the letter that you got in the mail and the email, it has to give space for so much. Yes, of course, you must own your own behavior. I'm not excluding that at no means, but it's just so unpredictable for each person what that looks like in a responsive matter. That it's a lot of people probably do. I think a lot of people why not so much as a shame, but I think a lot of people walk on eggshells with those code names and calling
Yeah.
it, call it something because it kind of presents this safety net. How
Yeah.
would you guys in doing that and the safety of that and everybody's I must say in the shows that I've come to, I've never seen that, but I don't have the insight as you and tell. But I must say that the conversations are always of support. They're always I'm here for you and those kind of things. How did you guys come about? Even I know you explained a little bit about taking on this, but how did you guys really feel about going into this? Because it's not like Charlene does websites. It's not like saying, no, I got this website skill. I know how to build one. I know how to architect it. I know how to, strategy. I know, okay, that's a done deal. I can walk you through that. It's a done deal. I do vulnerability. It's a little bit more intrusive, a little bit more, but I mean, I got a pattern for that. How do you guys come up with a concept of a pattern of we're going to just give perspectives on cancer and we're
Yeah.
just going to invite people in, good, bad, or indifferent, because of course you're going to get all of that because you're talking about something that triggers everybody. How did you guys just say this is what I think we need to do?
That is a really good question because even though we definitely know the answer, we still are just like, we're crazy. This is crazy. But in a good way, but we're just crazy. But in the end, really, Tim was talking about how he wanted to make a bigger impact around cancer. I want to do a Man and Woman of the Year for leukemia lymphoma society. I want to, do I want to start a nonprofit? Like, what do I want to do? I want something bigger. And I'm like, oh, or I want something deeper. And I'm like, well, I'm the epitome of deepened roots, and deepened roots is my life and it's my motto. It's just, it's ever evolving, but I go in deep with life, and I always have. I've always, even when I was a kid, I just wanted to touch the deeper aspects of life, and it just made sense. He wanted impact, and just the whole concept of let's go in there deeper and let's do that. It just worked out. And having the mindset we do around it, such as self-love and love for others, which translates into respect for self and others as well. And just respecting the whole notion that this is a very vulnerable topic, and yet people still want to show up for it, and they want someone to show up for them around it too. It just made sense, but we just wanted something deeper, something more aligned with our purpose. And Tim, his experience as a cancer survivor, that's how he wants to have his legacy, and that's how he wants to develop it around so many other aspects too. But I'm so proud of him for wanting to do that, and I am so honored to help him in a way that I can with my perspectives. And so that's just kind of how we do it. On one hand, it is work, and on the other hand, it feels effortless. If it looks effortless, it's because sometimes it really does feel effortless. We just do it together. We know that we have aspects that we contribute to, and we let each other, hold on to those aspects and carry them out. And, going back to, that awesome comment that you showed about, people deflecting their feelings. Yeah, it's just, honestly, I was honored. I kind of was honored. I was like, what is this? But still honored because, again, it is a part of the healing, and an aspect of, we always want to make the show better. We want to go in deep, but do we go in too deep sometimes? We don't want anyone to go off the rails. Like, we don't want a bunch of people just triggered at any time and freaking out. But we also want to go where we need to go. And so what's the balance? And so it's always a learning tool, and just another reason to trust our gut, to trust our intuition, and know that as long as we follow that, like, we're going to be okay. All of us in this amazing movement that is showing up, like, we're all going to be okay.
And I love that you're bringing these type of conversations, especially coming from the space of being in a pandemic. A lot of people are home by themselves, so to go through having cancer or being diagnosed while you're isolated, that can be a devastating time. So to have a show like yours where you have the community coming through for people, I think that's commendable, and that's amazing that you guys are doing that. I just wanted you to let the people know, what upcoming things do you and Tim have, and of course for you with Deep in Roots, what up and coming things do you have in play for us?
So our focus in the next several weeks, of course, the show, we have an amazing lineup. Next week is Emily Harman. Then a week after that is Tim McDonald. And then the list keeps going and going until May. Like, we are blessed to be booked until May every single week. And to me, that's just super cool. And but our focus, in addition to that, is also going to be Man and Woman of the Year for LLS. And we want to raise as much money as possible because the money raised goes into research, and it goes into another aspect on cancer that has been touched on the show is that cancer is also expensive. It's expensive. You have to fight for your life, and you also you you fight like no other to hopefully not go into poverty. And or if you already are unfortunately in that place, it's like, what resources do I have? And I have to choose between paying my bills and saving my life. And that should never happen. Like, that does not need to happen. And LLS, the money raised, it goes into research, and it also goes into helping people with leukemia and lymphoma pay their bills and get assistance. Medication is not cheap. Treatments are not cheap. Transportation. Some people don't even have transportation to go to and from the hospital or centers. And so what I'm finding out about LLS is that they really understand that, and that they want to make sure that, when you are unfortunately dealt the hand of having leukemia or lymphoma, like, you have to focus on that. And they want to make sure that you don't have to focus on the financial aspect, like that's not thought of as much as possible, like, just focus on yourself. And so that's a driving factor of wanting to do the Man and Woman of the Year for sure with Tom. And he has other team members too, which is great. I think we have 6. And I think he's looking for more too, because if you have at least 10 or more, some people will drop out, or some people won't be able to give as much time. So I think he's looking for more team members. So I'm just throwing that out there. If you're interested in helping us, or providing names of sponsors, reach out to myself or Tom. Yes. And so if you're not Tim's friend already, find me right there, and then I'll help you find Tim, and then you guys will get rolling. So that's kind of a big thing. And then always just finding new ways to just bring that show experience, like, just make sure that everyone just gets benefits from the show. We do use a lot of humor to kind of like divert, because it can get a little heavy. So we're always just trying to make sure to find ways to evolve the show, and evolve with the show, and evolve with our audience as well. And as for me, Deep in Roots, I'm super excited because I do have my podcast, and I live stream. And at first, I was just, and Carl, Shawn, this, I would just go on and record audio, put it in the form of a podcast, call it a day, and that's super fun. But I live stream now, and I have a live stream audience. So how do I meld the two together? And so for me, I'm in the process of, yes, thank you, of relaunching my podcast in the form of LinkedIn Live, and then streaming it to others, and then putting it on Anchor. It just makes sense. I don't know why I didn't do it earlier, except now I get to. And I'm excited. I've been revamping my branding. So for me, it's like, ooh, coloring. Let's do this. I'm so excited. And so that's what I'm doing, revamping my Deepened Roots podcast, really digging deep into how my services can be revamped and repackaged in a way that helps others. I also do branding, and that I still am helping people find their personal power. What's your identity? What's the identity of your company? What does that look like? What do you want it to look like? What does it look like now versus what you want it to look like, and how can we meld the two together? So those are my aspects, but my most recent, my current project, my little baby is going to be putting my podcast on LinkedIn Live and on YouTube and my other platforms. So yeah.
Love that. Yes, because
Awesome.
especially when it comes to finding a way to streamline, do it one time and then break everything up. You always hear it, but to actually do it, oh my gosh, I was like, okay. So yes, I totally understand redoing or revamping the podcast so you can start with live and then distribute differently, because that's exactly what I'm doing. I just have to get the gumption to do it, because I pre-recorded some stuff. But I'm like, oh Lord, now the live part. Which
Yes.
all the time it gets me all the time. But yes, I can't wait to see the revamp, and make sure that you hit us up with that. Give us some links, and also let us know where we can donate if there becomes
Yes.
a link for the man and woman of the year. Let us know where we can donate, where we can send people, and we're happy to do that as well.
Oh my, thank you so much. So when things get rolling, I most definitely will. The Man and Woman of the Year, it won't start until March, but
Okay.
we're planning right now. So as soon as that launches, because if I give you a link now, people, like you can't use the donate button, but people are going to be like, oh, but it exists. I'm going to click it. Well, it's
Right.
not active right
Mhm.
now. So when it launches, I most definitely will send you a link. And so you guys can go to the pages that you need to go to and donate whatever, even if you're able to donate $1, $5, a bunch of $1 adds up
It's a
to a
lot.
bunch of $1. A
Yeah. Every
dollar
bit
is a
helps.
dollar is a dollar.
Every bit helps.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, this has been amazing. The time always just flies when we have an amazing conversation. And you guys, I can't say it enough that you guys are doing a tremendous work and something to be very, very proud of, regardless of maybe the outcomes of certain individuals. I do think a lot of times when we take on these kind of projects, they're going to be, uh, for lack of a better word, casualties in that. There's going to be some that feel that this is too much. There's going to be some that, how dare you? I mean, you're going to come across, all of those. But I think that what has really gave us the resilience as humanity is that we continue for the greater good. And in the essence of what you guys are doing, there's a greater good there, and there are going to be people that receive that, get deliverance in that, and have a community that supports that. And it's something more great. I did not realize the functionality of community until I got on LinkedIn. I really didn't. I really thought I was kind of like, I know it wasn't really so much this whole person, but I was good. Like if I don't hire nobody, I'm good. If I got somebody, I'm good. I just was like that my whole life. I didn't have a bunch of homies that I ran with. I had one best friend, you know what I mean, that I told things to. So I wasn't this person. I was good if I ain't had nobody, hanging out with me. I just was like that. But when I started going through some things and was able to share some things with the community that didn't judge, that came across as sincere and helpful and thinking about my well being, I start to say, yo, it's kind of good to have people, right? It
Yeah.
really is. And it's kind of good to have a place to go where somebody, I always think about the song Cheers, right? That song and the words to that. You want to go where people know your name, you know. And I always liked the feeling of that and how that came across. And it was just, it's just a great thing. So what you guys are doing in a nutshell is just tremendous. Keep it up. You got our support. Give us the links. Let us know. We definitely have you guys back on whatever you got. We advertise as well because it's real talk, right? And we here for
Yeah.
each other. That's it. That's
Mhm.
all it's about.
Yes. Oh my gosh. No, thank you. And thanks for letting me invite myself onto your show.
Oh wow.
I just kind of did that. I don't know, I just wanted to be in Carl Sean's space. I felt like I needed to be in his space for a second and
Yeah,
also have an excuse to meet you, Charlene.
I'm glad it worked out like it was. I got kind of
Yes.
tied up yesterday, and I was meaning to get back to Charlene. I was like, "Yeah, I talked to Kara, whatever." And before I know it, she had sent me a message, a telegram. She's like, "Oh yeah, we have your homie Kara on the show tomorrow." I was like, "I ain't get a chance to talk to you." So I was like, I was busy on calls and I didn't get a chance to talk. But see, everything works out. I'm the
Yeah.
one said that intervention is definitely divine, and it works out. And what you brought to the show today is well, it was well worth. However, it got booked. You know what I mean? It's one of them like your people call my people. However it went down, right?
It was meant to happen. It
It
was
was
meant to
meant to
happen.
happen.
Oh,
Especially that you guys are already prepping for another big event. It was
Yes.
perfect timing.
It was, and now we got it out. We can shout it to the mountaintops. Go and check out this show. When is the show? Kara, tell everybody again when is the show, when they can come and see you guys and come and support.
yes. So showing up perspectives on cancer is every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
8
So
p.m. So
yes.
you guys show up and support because cancer has touched everybody.
Mhm.
I don't want nobody to say, "Oh man, if you even if you're living on a rock, somebody under that rock, that you related to or they related to, and them, cancer has not missed anybody."
Mm-mm.
And
And
that's
I
one
and
thing
I
that I can say for surety. It has not missed affecting anybody.
and I dropped the latest episode in the
Yes.
chat. So you guys, even though I'm showing it on the screen, come over, check out the event so you can see it in the chat and click over there. It's an amazing show. It's an amazing opportunity to see how people are not just living with cancer but surviving it and coming together as a community.
All type of
My
illness.
goodness. Charlene, you are amazing. It's like,
She is.
okay, you guys just talk and look pretty, and I'm gonna look pretty and just type everything and create a world and like here you go.
Yeah, see, I can't do this show without I'll be trying to keep up in the little comments. So like, you don't even see her eyes go away. Like, my head be turned. I'll be like Captain
I'm
Obvious, right?
taking notes.
I'm like,
That's why I was quiet. I was trying to make sure I got everything.
yeah, because I'll be trying to listen and I'll be trying to respond to people in the chat and my neck be turned and I'll be speechless. Like, I can't do this show. Like, I mean, you need help, right? So she makes the show. So you guys know the secret to my success, right? It's Charlene Brown,
Charlene.
right?
Charlene's
Right.
your secret.
A
Truly, right?
mess, a
Truly.
mess.
Somebody always says they say they changed the name. They say Real Talk with Charlene and Carl. So they told me that they changed the name, right? So that is the secret to my success. Oh man, it's been lovely to have you on
Oh my
today, Kara.
gosh.
I
Thank you.
truly appreciate it. We definitely going to stay in touch and definitely
Yes.
keep the movement going on this. Is something great. I don't think it should be something that is just ours. It should be everybody's, and I think it's a space that is well developed, and it's a space that's going to be encouraging to a lot of people, and it also may give you some answers to what you need to deal with those that's in your life that may be suffering from this. Maybe you was wondering why they came off on you angry, or you wonder why they don't never want to really talk about it, or they sit in a shell. This could
Mhm.
empower you to be able to start those dynamic conversations to maybe having them open up to how they're actually feeling, suffering with this, and how you could be of help to them. And instead of thinking that I got to be on eggshells when I'm around them, so it's a great opportunity for a learning space. I love learning, and this is a great opportunity for it.
Yes, and take the power away. Don't call it C word. Just say what it
Yes.
is,
Oh,
cancer, and let's
yes.
deal with it head on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yes. Take the power away because you're the power. Don't give
Oh,
it
I got
away.
the
You're the
power.
power. Yeah. Cue the music. And the dance.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that the Carl will be here all day doing that
I
dance.
love it.
Okay,
So I just
so
want,
we need to have a dance off one day then.
Yeah, 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 you know, hanging around Brian Showman, you know, what I mean, I got the social
yes.
distance, and so,
I won't even say what I was doing last night, but yes, I was dancing and moving around the apartment. Yeah, it was
oh
crazy.
wow, 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 wow.
It was crazy.
Charlie, take us home, take us home.
Yes,
Okay.
I just want to say thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for the
Yes.
conversation in the chat. Thank you, Kara, for coming through and having this amazing must have conversation. And you guys know I'm a twofer, so she's coming back on. Hopefully, maybe we
Absolutely.
can get her and Tim on so they can talk about
Yes,
this
I would love
dynamic.
that. I would love that. Have
So
them
I'm putting
both
that out
on.
in the atmosphere. Let's make that happen.
We can
Okay.
tag team that. We can
As
tag
Tim's
team
like, so when are we coming on?
Yes, right. That's
When's the
all
show?
you gotta do is just tell him. Tell him. You gotta tell
He
him.
just
He will.
Yes.
drops out of his chair. When are we going to be on?
So make sure you guys join us again Tuesday for another amazing show. And we cannot wait to have another segment of Real Talk because
So,
this is where real recognizes real. Have a good
deuces.
one,
Have a
y'all.
great weekend, y'all.
Bye.
Talk with Carl and Charlene. Real talk for the real world. Let's get it.